This time on The Adventures of Tarka, we readjust to life back in beautiful Bonaire. We highlight some local coral conservation efforts with a photo shoot. And Tarka gets a little crowded as Nushta's sister joins us for some adventures. After only a week in Curacao, and a very wet passage upwind, we were happy to be in Bonaire again. Our days here are literally numbered though, as our visas will soon expire, and we will have to press on west. But, in the meantime, it's a spectacular place to call home, and we were happy to be treated to an excellent underwater world right under the boat once again. One big reason we are sailing Tarka is to raise awareness for coral reef conservation. On the awareness side of things, Nushta has decided to employ her skills as an underwater photographer and highlight some of the things that are being done at the local level in the places that we go. Here in Bonaire, coral trees are used to safely grow endangered coral species, like staghorn and elkhorn, before they are transplanted to where they are needed on the reefs. So, they're basically coral gardens. To that end, Nushta had a great idea for a photo. So we teamed up with WannaDive, a dive operation that manages their own coral garden, and got to work. This was my first underwater photo shoot, and I have to say, a lot more goes into making it successful than I ever thought. There are so many complicating factors that make it a difficult operation. And I'm truly impressed with our model's ability to be so composed at depth without air or mask. I think all that hard work paid off though. And we celebrated at the end of the day with some Dutch favorites and a few drinks on the beach. Bonaire is nice, but life isn't exactly perfect here either. For one, it's always very windy, which can make some activities ill-advised, like this dinghy float. We really would have liked to join, but we knew once downwind that our little dinghy didn't stand a chance for the upwind battle back. They're gonna go all downwind, and I don't know how they're gonna get back. Oh, they'll probably be okay. I wouldn't be able to get back with my little dinghy. It also doesn't really rain here this time of year. That means we either get used to the eyesore of a dirty boat, or we try to clean it all the time. But we don't have a water maker like our neighbors, and we certainly don't have a pressure washer or the generator to run one anyway. But all that does start to take away from that precious sunlight we need to keep our batteries charged, so we do regularly wipe down our panels. Speaking of water, Tarka can hold about 70 gallons of fresh water. But ferrying 70 gallons of fresh water to the boat is just unreasonable. So, while here in Bonaire at least, we've just been keeping one 20-gallon tank topped off, which lasts two of us just shy of about 2 weeks. We're pretty proud of that, considering we probably used 20 gallons in a single shower in our previous lives. Coffee. And tea. Tea. The fact is, very few cruising boats are luxurious, but I do think Tarka is more on the camping end of the spectrum than most. Which is maybe one of the reasons Tarka doesn't get a lot of visitors from abroad. Fortunately for us, Nushra's sister was brave enough to give boat life a shot for a week, and flew all the way from the Netherlands to hang out with us in Bonaire. I'll admit, I had my concerns about how the three of us, with all of our stuff, would cope together in such a small boat. But I have to say, we did pretty well. 5 of diamonds. And to celebrate Roni's arrival, we decided to spend a night out on the town. Just as soon as the girls get ready. The next day, we took Tarka out sailing to show Roni some of our favorite spots around the island. In Bonaire, moorings are in high demand, so the accepted procedure is to tie your dinghy to the mooring if you're going to go out sailing for the day. We made our way south, and the crew did what they do best. Of course, we can't anchor anywhere in Bonaire, but we are allowed to tie up on the yellow dive moorings, even if we're not diving. We also sailed over to Klein Bonaire. But the only moorings that were available were in shallow water. This is the same spot that we took Shelly's boat Northwind to a while back, and we were literally a matter of feet from the beach. I was a bit concerned we might swing into the sand, so I stayed with the boat and let the ladies go to the beach. I don't know what they're doing. Apparently they're rubbing sugar and coconut oil on themselves. I don't know why. There honestly isn't a lot of coral in this particular spot, but it is a nice place for a swim. And it's a great place to nearly lose your hat.
Yeah, right.
Roni also wanted to do some kite surfing during her short stay with us, but she wasn't sure if she'd need to be rescued or not. And as we've mentioned before, our dinghy just isn't up to the task. So we decided to head to the kitesurfing beach on the island, where she can get some proper instruction. This is the only place where you're legally allowed to kite off the beach in Bonaire, and some of the people here are actually quite good. Roni teamed up with an instructor, and using Nushta's kite, began her lesson. Meanwhile, we just enjoyed the show from the beach.
It's a nice place.
That's better.
Oh good, now we can't see you. That's a lot better. Oh good, yeah, it's just me here, all by myself.
Yeah.
And no one else is here. Oh, it's so good.
Oh yeah, I like this one.
Oh yeah, me
So
too.
After a bit of a rough start, Roni got the hang of going in one direction, but not so much in the other direction.
Oh no.
That must be safe, I think. You saw like...
I think she had fun, but one lesson just wasn't quite enough for us to feel safe going to do it on our own, without a good rescue option.
How did it go?
Didn't you see it?
Nonetheless, Nushta made the best of the opportunity, and did a bit of kitesurfing on her own. Eventually, I'll learn to kite too. Maybe once we get the sandblast. Back on Tarka, it was business as usual. Just a bit more crowded. So I decided to let the ladies go explore the island together, while I tackled some projects. First up were the easy ones, like installing a new particle filter for our freshwater system.
There's a really dirty filter in there.
The old one was pretty nasty.
I don't want to touch it, it's pretty dirty. And right here, the brand spanking new filter. There we go.
The winches were also due for servicing, but luckily Tarka only has a grand total of 3.
That pawl there is no longer engaging, so I'll spin it around. You see, the spring's no longer pushing it back into place, so that gives play into the winch. One of the other ones will eventually catch, but you lose a little bit of resolution. Okay, everything's mostly pretty clean, and I gotta reassemble everything now.
I also inspected all of the Sta Lok terminals I installed back in Grenada, just to see how they were holding up. This is what I really love about these terminals, and one of the big reasons I decided to go this route. I can open them up, inspect them, and there's no mystery as to what's going on inside. And that gives me a lot of peace of mind, which can be in high demand in a small boat like Tarka. Meanwhile, the girls are having a pretty good time. They got to tour the island in a fancy convertible as part of the photo shoot deal we did for our friend's rental car company a while back. They also did some diving, as visiting Bonaire without diving at least once would just be a travesty. Roni's short week with us went by pretty quickly, and before we knew it, it was time for her to fly back to the Netherlands.
I could be helping, but it's more fun to be.
I think she had a good time with us, and I have a feeling she'll join us again down somewhere further west. Speaking of which, we will soon finally be making our way west towards Panama, with a number of stops in between. Unfortunately, Tarka prematurely needs a new bottom job, so we will have to haul out in Curacao before heading on to Colombia. Until then, we are enjoying our last days in this beautiful little country, and the company of the wonderful people we've met here. And we hope that there will be many more like it further downwind.